The first thing she noticed was the silence that followed her. Not the quiet kind that brings peace, but the sharp, uncomfortable silence that falls when people decide all at once not to see you. The cafe was warm, filled with the low hum of conversation, the clinking of cups, the smell of coffee and baked bread. Yet as she stood there, clutching her worn handbag, it felt as if the room had turned cold around her. Chairs scraped as people adjusted themselves, eyes flicked up and away, and suddenly every table looked full, even the ones that weren't. She had not expected this to hurt so much, not today, not after everything she had already survived. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment right now. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of one good human choice, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. She stood near the entrance longer than she meant to, pretending to scroll on her phone so no one would see the way her shoulders had tensed, the way her breathing had grown shallow. Outside, the winter air pressed against the glass windows, gray and unforgiving. Inside, there were empty seats. She could see them clearly, but every time she stepped toward one, the people nearby shifted their coats or bags just enough to claim the space without words. It was subtle, polite, cruel in the way only quiet rejection can be. Her name was Mira, and she had learned long ago not to expect invitations. She chose the smallest table near the window, one meant for quick coffees and even quicker departures. As she reached it, a couple beside her leaned in closer together, their shopping bags spilling into her space, forcing her to hesitate. She stepped back, cheeks burning, heart pounding with the old familiar feeling of being in the way. She told herself she could leave. She told herself she didn't need this cafe, didn't need the warmth or the break or the illusion of normalcy. But her feet stayed rooted to the floor, heavy with exhaustion. It had been a long morning, a long year, a long life. Mira had once imagined her life differently. She had imagined stability, a home filled with laughter, mornings that didn't feel like battles. Instead, she carried the quiet weight of loss and bad timing and choices that had seemed right until they weren't. She worked 2 part-time jobs that barely covered rent, cared for a mother who no longer remembered her name, and slept with one eye open to the fear that one small emergency could unravel everything. She had learned to shrink herself in public spaces, to make herself easy to ignore. Still, some days, even shrinking wasn't enough. As she turned to leave, her vision blurred, not with tears yet, but with that familiar pressure behind the eyes that warned they were coming. That was when she noticed him. He was sitting at a larger table near the middle of the cafe, one leg stretched out, a child's backpack resting against his chair. A little girl sat across from him, swinging her feet, her hair tied into a messy ponytail. Crayons were scattered across the table, and a half-finished drawing peeked out from beneath a napkin. The man looked tired in the honest way, dark circles under his eyes, the posture of someone used to carrying more than his share. But his gaze was gentle, attentive, as if the world narrowed whenever he looked at the child. He noticed Mira not because she was loud or demanding, but because she was trying so hard not to be seen. Their eyes met briefly, and she looked away at once, embarrassed, as if she had been caught doing something wrong. She did not see him stand. She did not see him move the extra chair away from his table, clearing space. She only heard his voice, calm and steady, cutting through the background noise, like a hand reaching out in the dark.
There was room here. Mira froze. She turned slowly, unsure if she had imagined it. The man was looking directly at her, not past her, not through her. His hand rested lightly on the back of the empty chair, an invitation that carried no pity, no urgency, just certainty. The little girl followed his gaze, eyes curious and open, offering a small, shy smile. For a moment, Mira could not move. Her chest felt tight, as if accepting this kindness might break something fragile inside her. She had been invisible for so long that being seen felt dangerous, but the alternative, walking back into the cold with that familiar ache, felt worse. She nodded once, barely, and stepped toward the table. Sitting down felt like crossing an invisible line. The chair was solid beneath her, the table warm from the cups already resting on it. No one stared now, no one shifted away. The café seemed to breathe again, sound rushing back in around her. She focused on the table, on the simple act of placing her bag at her feet, grounding herself in the moment. The man introduced himself as Adam, and the little girl was Lily. He was a single father, juggling work, school pickups, and a life that had not gone according to plan. He did not say this in a way that sought sympathy. It was simply fact, woven into the fabric of who he was. Mira listened more than she spoke at first, letting the normalcy of the conversation wash over her like warmth returning to numb fingers. Lily showed her the drawing she had been working on, explaining every color choice with seriousness only children possess. Mira smiled, a real smile that surprised her with its ease. She felt herself relax, shoulders lowering, breath evening out. For the first time in weeks, she did not feel like she was borrowing space she hadn't earned. What Adam did not know was how close Mira had been to giving up that morning, not in the dramatic sense people imagine, but in the quiet, everyday way where hope erodes grain by grain. She had received another letter from the landlord, another reminder that stability was always temporary for people like her. She had come to the café not for coffee, but for a moment to sit somewhere without being needed, without being judged, without being rushed. What she found, instead, was connection. As minutes turned into an hour, Mira felt something shift inside her. The café no longer felt like a place of rejection, but a setting for a small, unexpected turning point. Adam listened when she spoke, really listened, his attention steady even as he kept one eye on Lily. There was a gentleness to the way he existed in the world, shaped by responsibility and loss, but not hardened by it. He had lost his wife years earlier, suddenly, leaving him to learn parenthood and grief at the same time. Some days, he admitted, felt impossible, but Lily was his anchor, his reason to keep choosing kindness even when the world made it difficult. Mira recognized that feeling, the way love could coexist with exhaustion, the way survival often required softness rather than strength. When they finally stood to leave, the light outside had changed. The gray had softened, clouds thinning just enough to let pale sunlight spill onto the street. Mira stepped out of the café feeling lighter, though nothing about her circumstances had changed. She still had bills waiting, worries lined up like dominoes ready to fall, but something had shifted in how she carried them.
They exchanged contact information, a simple gesture that felt monumental. As Adam and Lily walked away, Lily turned once more to wave, her smile bright and unguarded. Mira waved back, her throat tight with emotion she did not fully understand yet. Days passed, then weeks. Mira and Adam met again, sometimes at the cafe, sometimes at the park where Lily loved to feed the birds. Their connection grew slowly, built on shared understanding rather than grand gestures. Adam never tried to fix Mira's life, never offered solutions she hadn't asked for. He offered presence, consistency, a place at the table, literal and otherwise. Mira found herself daring to imagine small hopes again, not fantasies, but possibilities. A better job opportunity she had been too afraid to apply for, a support group for caregivers she finally attended, the courage to ask for help when her mother's health declined. Each step was small, but together they formed a path forward. What struck Mira most was how one moment of kindness had created ripples far beyond that cafe. Being invited to sit had reminded her of her worth at a time when she had nearly forgotten it. It had reminded her that invisibility was not an inherent trait, but a condition imposed by circumstances and fear, and it could be undone. Adam, too, felt the impact. He had invited her to the table without thinking, guided by instinct and the example he wanted to set for his daughter. In doing so, he found a companion who understood the quiet bravery of simply showing up each day. Lily gained another caring presence in her life, someone who listened to her stories and laughed at her jokes, someone who stayed. As seasons changed, so did their lives. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, nights when old fears resurfaced. But there was also growth, laughter, shared meals, and the steady building of trust. Mira learned that accepting kindness did not make her weak. Adam learned that opening his life to someone new did not diminish the love he held for the past. If this story has reached something deep inside you, if it has reminded you of a time you felt unseen, or of a moment when someone's kindness changed everything, please take a second now to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps stories of hope travel farther than we ever could alone. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with a simple word or sentence about kindness, or share a moment when a small gesture made a big difference in your life. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Mira often returned to that cafe, sometimes alone, sometimes with Adam and Lily. She noticed things she had missed before, the way light pooled on the wooden tables in the afternoon, the quiet bravery of people who walked in alone, the subtle moments where kindness could change the direction of a day. She made a habit of leaving space at her table, of meeting hesitant eyes with a smile, of remembering how it felt to stand on the outside. The memory of that first invitation stayed with her, not as a wound, but as a reminder. Life had not suddenly become easy, but it had become fuller. She belonged to herself again, and to the quiet network of people who had chosen, again and again, to see her. Sometimes, all it takes is one chair pulled back, one invitation offered without judgment, one moment where someone decides that no one should have to stand alone. And sometimes, that moment is enough to change everything.